Hey guys, welcome back to my latest impressions video. This time around I'm gonna talk about Red Dead Redemption for the PlayStation 3. And if you have been following with me, in one of my recent pickups videos I showed this game, and I'm really glad I picked this up for a really good price, because this game is great. It's definitely off the top of my head, it has to be one of the top 10 games for this current generation of gaming. When I first heard about this game, I believe it was released in 2010, and when I first heard about this game, the first thing that came to my mind is that this is going to be a Grand Theft Auto game with a set on a Western setting, and it's actually that, but it's that and much more. It's much more than just a Grand Theft Auto with a coat of Wild West setting. I'm saying that because this game has a fantastic and huge production value. And sure enough, after I beat the game, I did some research because I was a little bit, I was curious on the development process for this game. And sure enough, I read that one of the Rockstar executives mentioned that this is the highest budget game in their history. Now that article was a little bit old. That might be different now that Grand Theft Auto 5 is about to come out, but I'm not surprised at all that this game had a huge budget, and I think that's part of why the game is so good. And by that I mean that the Western setting in this game is portrayed beautifully. Especially starting from the basic, the dialogue. When you talk to the different characters in the game, they all have that dialect that was used in the early 1900s, and each character has a very different type of personality with their own dialect, with their own different voice, and it really makes you feel like you're watching a movie set in the actual early 1900s. But not only the dialogue, which is, by the way, the script in this game is great, but not only the dialogue, but the attention to detail, anything from the clothing that all the characters in the game are wearing, to the landscapes in the game, to the architecture of the buildings. Just minor details. For example, when you buy the newspaper in the game, you get that old school vibe from newspapers from that era, and you can definitely tell that Rockstar did a lot of research and they did their homework in order to create that feeling of the Wild West setting in this game, and that is basically the biggest positive value that you can get out of this game. Beautiful setting. Now the story is about you play as John Marston, who is a person with a shady past, but he's beyond that, and his family was it's basically being held for ransom by the corrupt American government, and basically you have to finish this job for the government in order to free your family, and you have to kill two of your former gang friends, members, if you will. So essentially that's what you have to do. You have to go out, find these two gang members and kill them, and that way you're gonna get your family back. The story is very simple, but towards the end of the game there are some surprising developments, if you will, in the story that are really that are really good. No spoilers here. I'm not gonna say anything about the ending of the game, but it's a pretty long game. It's pretty much in line with previous Grand Theft Auto games in the sense that it'll take you easily anywhere from 25 to 40 or maybe 50 hours, depending on how much you want to complete in this game. As you can imagine, this game is filled with side quests, and filled with the main mission type of objectives, and it's essentially a Grand Theft Auto game. You pretty much ride your horse instead of a car around. But what really separates this game from Grand Theft Auto is just again the setting. It's very realistic, and the game does a beautiful job of using the real-time weather change. The game has like an in-game clock in which time goes by, um, and so you could be riding your horse, and during sunset time, and you're gonna see this beautiful vista, because this game has such a varied landscape, depending on the area where you are on the map, because the map in this game is huge. So you could be near a river or near the mountains or on a deserted area, and just the general topography and the wildlife in each different section of the game is different, and combined with the real time and the real time weather, that can create some beautiful scenery and landscapes. I found myself sometimes, riding my horse and just stopping for a second, just so I could admire how beautiful some of the vistas were naturally created by the game. These were not cutscenes or anything. It's just part of the natural elements of the game. So, and what really surprised me, I was a little bit scared when I first put this game in, because I thought, what can they do with the Western setting? I mean, the Wild West is just pretty much a big desert, not a whole lot of things going on in terms of vegetation and wildlife, but they did a beautiful job of creating this somewhat busy type of environment. And the game has several different activities that involve you exploring the different environments in the game. You can do hunting, you can hunt animals, and then you can skin them to sell their skin, or some of their the meat or their parts. So it has that fun element that you don't necessarily have to be doing the main objectives at all times. Also, the game does a good job of in controlling the pace. I think it has a better pacing than Grand Theft Auto 4. Grand Theft Auto 4, it was dragging a little bit towards the end, in my opinion. It was a little bit repetitive. It was basically, you go to the next mission, you have to shoot people and escape at the end of the mission. Very cookie cutter type of mission structure. Whereas in Red Dead Redemption, yes, you're gonna see a lot of those types of missions where you just have to go all out and shoot people. But they introduce some kind of funny and different types of missions. Sometimes you have to run errands, or sometimes you have to do fetch quests. But again, the pacing is a little bit better set up. It's not optimal. It's not perfect. It does suffer from that GTA type of repetitiveness towards the end, in the sense that you have to kill a lot of people, but it does it in a better way. Therefore, the pacing in this game is better. The graphics surprised me as well for being a 2010 game. I thought it looked great. The PlayStation 3 version runs great. I didn't really run into any issues, and it's really nice that the game has good graphics, because again, combined with that natural real time and real weather mechanic that the game has, it just makes up for a very for a lot of eye candy in the game. The game controls exactly like previous Grand Theft Auto games, except if you play this game on normal, the game has an automatic setting for auto aim, which takes a lot of the challenge from the game. Now you can turn the auto aim off by going to the options menu, and personally I left it on because I really wanted to get through this game, I'm not gonna say as quickly as possible, but as stress-free as possible, because I really wanted to enjoy the story, and I knew it was a long game, so I really wanted to finish the story, enjoy it for what it is, and then move on to my next game, because I have so many games in my backlog that I really wanted to get through this relatively quickly. And the way the auto aim works is that if you tap the L2 button, your iron sight, it's gonna move automatically to the closest target, and afterwards all you have to do is press the trigger or shoot button, and you're gonna start shooting that person. Sometimes you have to make minor adjustments to your shots, but again, it's relatively easy. I hardly died at all in this game. So if you're looking for a challenge to turn the auto aim option off or play in the hardcore mode, I believe it's called, the game has generating health. So if you find yourself in trouble, just find some cover and wait until your health goes back up. So essentially, this is a very easy game, but it's enjoyable. So I don't mind playing an easy game every now and then, because I'm enjoying the game, and that's what I'm after. If I want a challenge, I can just easily change the difficulty and call it a day. But yeah, the main mission took me 29 hours, and I completed, I believe, 81% of the general statistics in the game, which includes all the side quests, all your main missions, and the hunting activities and whatnot. So I thought for playing 29 hours, I did fairly good. I did a good chunk of what the game has to offer. And then the game controls great. Again, it has the same physics engine as Grand Theft Auto 4. Soundtrack is great. Soundtrack and the sounds in general in the game. As I mentioned, the dialogue is top notch. The script in this game is fantastic. Each character, the script for each character adds to their personality, and they did a fantastic job of casting the voice actors for this game. It was, I find myself enjoying watching this game as much as I did playing the game. So that tells you, how enjoyable that was. So the dialogue top notch. The soundtrack amazing. It really added to that Western setting. And again, Rockstar, they did their homework when it came to providing the soundtrack to this game. Now, so highly recommended this game. And now I'm gonna briefly talk about the DLC content. I believe the DLC is the multiplayer mode. I played co-op online, which is surprising. I mean, there's still plenty of people playing this game online. So if you buy this game now, you're not gonna run into any issues trying to find partners to play the co-op. But the co-op mode, I think, has 6 different levels, and up to 4 people can play. And they're your regular standard missions. And it was pretty fun. No lag or anything like that, so it was pretty enjoyable. And again, a little bit on the easy side. If you have all 4 people working together, it's really easy. And then the game does have, I think, the main attractive DLC content is the Undead Nightmare portion of the game, which actually somewhat ties into the story. And it has its own little story as well. And it's about a zombie invasion in the same area of the game, and it's pretty fun because it offers different gameplay. In the main regular game, you find yourself using the cover and shoot mechanic, where you take cover, you wait until the enemy shoots, and then you pop out, and then you start shooting the enemy. Whereas in the Undead Nightmare, it's completely different. You're gonna find yourself running and gunning pretty much the entire time, because you have all a horde of zombies chasing after you, and it can get pretty challenging, and you have to make pretty good use of your Red Dead or Red Eye mode, I believe it's called. If you click one of the sticks on the PlayStation 3 controller, you enter this slow motion type of mode that you can only use for a limited time, but it allows you to aim really well. And in the Undead Nightmare DLC portion of the game, it's fundamental, because you have to get headshots in order to kill the zombies. So I did not complete the Undead Nightmare mode yet. I think it's a little bit repetitive. You find yourself doing pretty much the same thing over and over again. But I did play a pretty good chunk of it. I'd say I played about 50%. Completed the missions in zombie mode. So I'm pretty happy with my progress, and I might go back to it just to finish it and see what the story is all about. But overall, again, Red Dead Redemption, it's definitely top 10, maybe even top 5 games of the generation. It's definitely the highlight of Rockstar, and if you guys enjoy open world games, and or if you enjoy the GTA games but have not played this game yet, please do yourself a favor. You can find this game for really cheap nowadays, and it has tons of content. Easily you can sink 50 plus hours in this game really easily, and the pacing is fantastic, the graphics are pretty good, and the dialogue and the script in this game are really great. And that's about it really. It's a great game, highly recommend it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this impressions video, and thank you for watching.